So I wish to invite all of us to continue this conversation, basically by sharing my perspectives and reflections on the initiatives of the Catholic Church in nurturing values, but more concretely, providing a faith-inspired approach to caring for land and life. And since one of the key words in our side event title is legacy, I would like to take you on a trip down memory lane to 1980. How many of you are around in 1980? By show of hands. Okay, cool. I wasn't, so it's good that there's some people who are around, and therefore, if I say anything that does not sit with what those who are around, can testify to, then you can point that out. But basically, in May 1980, and incidentally, we're now in the month of May, Pope John Paul II visited a number of African countries, and this was his first apostolic trip to Africa. Remember, Pope John Paul II was elected in 1978. In the Catholic Church, we call 1978 the year of the three popes, because it's the year that Pope Paul VI died, and John Paul I was elected. He was only Pope for 33 days, because he also died after 33 days, and Pope John Paul II was elected, all in 1978, so the year of the three popes. So in 1980, he visits Kenya, he visits what was then called Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo. He visits Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Cote d'Ivoire. So it is very timely that we gather for this side event in Abidjan on the 42nd anniversary of the conclusion of this very first visit of John Paul II to Africa, because he finished his tour in Abidjan. And one of the most significant outcomes related to our conversation here today was his visit to Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. And as Dr. Tangem has explained, in the 70s and 80s, we saw the ravages of drought desertification in the Sahel region. And this was what informed his decision to go to Burkina Faso. And he was able to put focus, to put the spotlight of the world on the challenges, but also the sufferings of the people in the Sahel region during this time. Also chastising the global north to do more to support and to help the people who are going through the tragedy as a result of drought desertification. And he called for greater solidarity, but also a renewed urgency to address the root causes of the issues. So he was not simply calling for charity, he was asking that those who bear the greatest responsibility address the root causes of the issues that we are facing, some of which Dr. Tangem has ably explained. He went on to say the following, that when the poor and needy cannot find water, I, the Lord, will hear them. I will change the dry and barren land into a lake. So he was quoting Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 41. And then he went on to say, and the water that I give will become for them a flowing fountain that gives eternal life. From this very place I launch a solemn appeal to the entire world. I raise my voice in supplication. I make my voice the voice of those who have no voice, the voice of the innocent. And so therefore, friends, the Pope's appeal at the time was anchored and deeply rooted in the principles of Catholic social teaching. Sonia has just been asking what values drive our work. And in this case, the values that Pope John Paul II was relying on to make this appeal were derived or enshrined in the principles of Catholic social teaching, which include principles such as the common good, solidarity, preferential option for the poor, human dignity, and subsidiarity. And so therefore, since this appeal, several initiatives have taken root to respond more directly and more concretely to this appeal. Now, because of the briefness of time in this side event, I'll just mention two, one of which I've read about and one which I am intimately involved with. So let's begin with the one I've read about. The John Paul II Foundation for the Sahel is a foundation that was established in 1984. Its headquarters and secretariat are, of course, in Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. And this foundation was set up with the support of the Italian bishops and the church in general, but also the local community in Burkina Faso. with the objective of giving testimony to the Pope's closeness to the people during his visit, especially those living in the poorest areas of the planet, by promoting projects to fight desertification in areas such as environment, agricultural development, but also water and renewable energy. We've seen some examples that Anesha has highlighted in terms of what they're doing in India on renewable energy, but also training and in recent times also becoming an instrument for fostering interreligious dialogue. We've heard from Dr. Tangem about some of the conflicts that have at the root of the crisis the environmental issues, climate change and so on, but which often trigger other factors such as ethnic but also religious triggers for conflict. Now this foundation is currently represented in about 9 countries of the Sahel area: Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Senegal, and Chad. So I think you can see some of the overlaps that also go hand in hand with the initiatives that, for example, Dr. Tangem has pointed out of the African heads of state. Now the second initiative that I wish to highlight, the one I say that I'm deeply involved in, of course, is the Catholic Youth Network for Environmental Sustainability in Africa, or CYNESA. It's a very long name, it's a bit of a mouthful, but each of the words in our title reflects who we are, our identity, and what we do. So basically reflects our values. But we also draw inspiration from John Paul II, again, from the message that he wrote for the World Day of Peace in 1990, in which he called for the need to upscale ecological awareness and to find fitting expression for this awareness to develop into concrete programs and initiatives. So it's not enough to be aware, it's important to go forward, to go one step further and act on this awareness. And this fits perfectly into the methodology of Catholic social teaching, which is see, judge, and act. So after seeing, after being aware of a situation, you then go next step to evaluate and to understand what that awareness means for you, means for others, but also for the people that you live with, including all of creation. And then taking a step to address and to act on this awareness. And then coming back again. So it's a looped cycle that helps us to really understand and act in a way that is ethical and value-driven. And so from this message we were inspired, a few of us young people in Africa were inspired to say, why can't we bring together young Catholics from across the continent, create a platform that is able then to do formation, which is environmental education and awareness, but also do networking advocacy training, and which is the reason why we collaborate, for example, with Brahma Kumaris in some of the multilateral environmental processes that exist, whether it's UNEP, the UNCCD, or the Climate Convention, to bring the greater awareness about values and the moral imperative of acting on the ecological crisis that we face. The planetary crisis, which is underpinned by a crisis of ethics and morality as well. And so I want to conclude by just highlighting one very concrete initiative of the Catholic Church that is actually being launched this year. Remember that this year is the 7th anniversary of this document that Pope Francis wrote in 2015. So now we are moving from the legacy of John Paul II to Pope Francis, and this document is called Laudato Si, on care for our common home. So it's a call to everyone living on this planet to join together to respond to the ecological crisis. And since 2015, lots of workshops, seminars, academic exposures have been done to reflect on this document. But now the Church is calling everyone to go a step further and to act. And therefore the launch of the Laudato Si Action Platform, which calls everyone to collaborate, both the Universal Church but with other actors, to collaborate together to put into action all the various reflections and experiences that have come as a result of the 7 years of reflecting on this document. And it has 7 goals, including responding to the cry of the earth, responding to the cry of the poor, but also adjusting our lifestyles to live more simply. We've heard about, for example, the issues around meat production, but also ecological economics. How is our economic system structured, and how does it either lend to or subtract from our ability to really go to the core and the root causes of what we are addressing now in terms of desertification, drought, the climate crisis, and the biodiversity crisis. If you go online and just type Laudato Si Action Platform, you can find all the 7 goals and how to be part of this formidable movement that the Catholic Church is putting in motion, inviting everyone to come up with 7-year action plans and then review these action plans at the end of this cycle, calling on these core principles of Catholic social teaching: solidarity, human dignity, subsidiarity, the common good, and so on, preferential option for the poor. So thank you very much. That's been my time.